Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about, the first post-flop strategy video in the series, which is going to be single raise pots, where we raise out of position, we get cold called by an in position player, and we go heads up to the flop. So, basically, when someone cold calls in position and they're irregular, the cold call range is going to be it's going to be winning, basically. It's going to be, assuming the guy has a brain and he knows what he's doing, he's going to be calling and he's going to be winning in the long term. So let me just chuck in, right, something's wrong. Let me just chuck in a random open range. When I say random, I mean pretty much exactly what you might expect from under the gun or middle position. Then let's just put in a pure strategy, calling in position range, or strategy, something like this. So it's pretty fixed, but the point of this simulation is just to prove some points and some theory, and you can go on your merry way and see if what I said holds any truth to it. So yeah, the first thing you got to note is 232 combos are opening in middle position, and 78 combos are calling in position. So the in position caller here, I think in reality, ace queen and some of this stuff is going to be a 3-bet some of the time. Basically, the calling in position is going to be very narrow. Pocket pairs are generally a flat rather than a 3-bet. I don't think anyone really knows whether this is correct or it's meant to be better in another way, but this is kind of what most people kind of play. So so let's just do a quick equity calc. So the in-position player, not only do they have the equity advantage, they're going to have basically I can't really justify it, but they're in position, so they have more playability. There's going to be some board textures where they're just going to get completely smashed on. For example, if ace king queen comes down, although they have jack 10 suited, there's going to be far too many sets, 2 pairs, in the out of position player's range, such that I think the condensed range of these hands wouldn't be able to defend, but that's a very edge case scenario. Same with if the board comes very low, where the in position player can't have a bunch of sets. I think he's going to struggle again because his range is pretty capped. Okay, so let's just talk about. I just made a note here about if the cold call by the in position player is by a fish who's playing like. It doesn't really apply so much because there's not actually that many fish nowadays. So if the guy's playing wide, then you can probably c-bet wider and stuff. So I'm going to talk about how we should be c-betting quite narrow or tight, or like not even c-betting at all, and we'll get onto that in a bit. But if the guy's playing a really bad strategy, then you can start playing a bit more aggressively. So let's just clear this and go back to where we were. Okay, so let's imagine this guy is cold calling like the cutoff versus an MP open. So yeah, so let's just also generate a random flop. Let's go for this one. 10 of spades, 5 of diamonds, deuce of spades. Okay. So the first thing you should probably notice is the in-position player is winning again. Cards between the jack and the 7, like mid-range cards, they're going to be kind of like, I don't know what I call them. I call them like, they're basically set danger cards. They're going to be cards the in-position player makes a set on quite a lot. So if there's 2 of them on the board, I kind of followed the rule of thumb of pretty much never c-bet, because once you apply a minimum defense frequency and see what kind of calling ranges look like, you can run into the nuts very, very quickly. So let me just show you kind of how it works. So yeah, assuming you're betting 75% pot, so these kind of strategies are a bit outdated, but I don't want to give away all of my juiciest secrets for free on YouTube. So risk over risk plus reward gives you the success frequency of your bluff. So let's assume we're bluffing 75% pot. We need it to work 43% of the time. Let's just round it to 40%. the calling in position player has to defend about 60% on each street, call 60% of their range to stop the bluff from being successful. If we do 60% cubed, so we do flop, turn, river, we end up with 22%. So if we triple barrel out of position, the guy has to defend 22% of his total pre-flop range. So once we take into account card removal on the flop, we have 71 combos here. Then if I just slam in this calculation, 0.216 times by 71 combos. So the guy's going to be calling about 15 combos in the river, assuming we triple barrel, and he just has to call to stop us from automatically winning. Well, let me just get a random 8 of spades and a 4 of diamonds. Let's just do that. So let's apply this. 8 of spades, 4 of diamonds. Okay, so yeah, just random equity calculation. The guy's equity increases, and we're looking for the best kind of 15 combos this guy has. So let me just select these. So the strongest hand he can possibly have here is pocket 10. No, that's not full house. He has spade flushes, so obviously nut flushes will be the best ones. Ace queen was nothing, so we can get rid of that. I'm just going to do these all together because it's easier. Was the 10 of spade? Yeah, it was. So we can't have 10 of spades, but yeah, so all of these are going to be flushes. These can be very strong hands. What's the next strongest hand? A set, I guess, so we'll keep that one in. 7s and 9s are devalued. Pocket 8s is a set. Jacks is an overpair. We get rid of these. So we're on 29 combos, and the range is overpairs, flushes and top pair. Sorry, sets and top pair. So let's get rid of the worst one pair hands. So we're slowly getting rid of them. Even ace 10 top pair top kicker is a fold. So even pocket jacks, you know, he can just call basically the ones with a spade. So let's do that. So you'll notice, let's do this. Versus a regular, if you triple barrel, you're going to be facing a fucking strong range. So let's just, sorry for swearing, let's imagine we have aces. You know, aces isn't a value bet against this range. Let's do ace of spades. So nut flush is obviously worth a value bet. Let's do like bottom set. Like even bottom set or close to bottom set is you know, it's not even doing good enough. So I think this was kind of eye-opening when I saw this. You know, the flop was genuinely random. The turn and the river were just 2 cards from the second flop, which was also random. So I haven't planned this. You know, the 5, the deuce, and the 4 are meant to be fairly neutral. But the imposition player just does too well when a flush comes in. And you know, on the 10 and the 8s, they're doing very well as well. So yeah, just, you know, my advice is just be careful when you get cold called in position, and you know, maybe be a bit more passive than you already are. So tripling with a, you know, one pair hand is, I don't know, I wouldn't recommend it. That's basically what the key point is. And then yeah, so that's some theory behind it. Yeah, you can run into the nuts pretty fast. If the opponent is just going to call down with like queen 10, then obviously it gets a bit more fine. And obviously if they call the flop on the turn too light, they're going to have too many folds on the river anyway. So yeah, but the thing is, the hands play quite straightforward, so you know, you can still get smashed. So yeah, what my advice would be is, you know, you need to, not only do you have to balance your betting range, make sure you're not overvaluing your hand, you also need to, you know, be passive and balance your checking range, which most people at low stakes don't really do. They just kind of face roll in a hand which is strong enough to bet, and when they check, they just are auto losing the pot, or it's like top pair, no kicker. So yeah, like a pretty ABC strat is you know, top pair, no kicker, might be a check call. Top pair, second kicker or better are value bets. Whoops, I repeated myself. Yeah, it's fine versus weaker players, but once people know you're checking mid-strength stuff, and you're facing some really tough heat, yeah, you're gonna get pretty smashed. So when should you polarize, bet small, or merge? So I think when the board is like super good for your range, like I said earlier, if the board comes ace, like basically these top 3 cards are going to be better for the out of position player in terms of uncappedness. So when these cards are kind of present, you want to be playing for like stacks. I would say a general rule of thumb is, you know, if there's 2 of them, maybe start over betting the flop and the turn, and just like piling on the pressure, just because you have the set advantage. Yeah. And then when the cards are like kind of jack to 7, you want to be more passive, be wary of sets, but once they check back in position, you can start ruling out sets, and that gives you more confidence in your hand, so that can be quite a good thing. And then yeah, the really small cards are pretty neutral, but because you have the best overpairs, they can be good for you to polarize, because if it comes deuce 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 3-3, you know, you have the best overpairs, they can never beat you if they have, you know, the best hand they have in a cold call range is like pocket jacks. And yeah, having just one mid-range card, like an 8, is not enough sets for them to defend with. So yeah, on very dry, low runouts, you can be quite aggressive, and you should bluff more to compensate for this, because, you know, pocket queens and better, pocket jacks even, are always the nuts on these kind of boards. So yeah, this was kind of, oh yeah, I was just going to make a note as well. Pre-flop and on the flop, you're quite early on in the hand, so you're more of a kind of probability distribution, trying to set up the framework for the rest of the hand. So yeah, you're just kind of laying the foundation for you to have all of these hands in your overall range, so that on the turn and river, you know, you have balanced checking range, check call ranges, check raise, whatever, and betting ranges, of course. And yeah, the turn and river, you can use bigger sizes, or yeah, just play for stacks really. So yeah, the main thing you should take away from the cold call in position lesson is that you know, cold calls in position are very strong. They're calling because when they call, they're getting like 40% pot odds on a call, compared to calling out of the big blind, where they get like 25% or 30% or whatever. So, you know, they're calling with very high equity hands. Most people think of poker in that way, and yeah, they're gonna generally be winning. So approach with caution, don't c-bet too much, play passive, but when you're uncapped and they're pretty capped and they've shown weakness and they don't really have sets and they can't have strong hands, then be aggressive and polarized and play for stacks. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll try and churn out another video in the next few days. Alright, I'll see you.